Hey, how are you? I'm SliceofOtaku, and for our second night of the Heart of the Crystal Gem special, we had the episode What's Your Problem, which picks up right where Now We're Only Falling Apart left off, with Sapphire discovering the note Ruby left behind. Now, in terms of information worth picking apart, this episode isn't nearly as crazy as the last, and so rather than giving the play-by-play, we're just gonna cover the bits of this episode that stuck out to me. And with the start of this one, you may instantly notice the change in handwriting between episodes, but that's simply because the story borders for the episodes are different. But now we're actually able to open up and check the contents of this note, and I found it funny that Sapphire lifted up her hair to read it, like she really can't see otherwise, huh? That's interesting. From this note, we learn that Ruby is running away, and they go to Amethyst for information, considering she was there with Ruby, although Amethyst is just playing video games and urges Steven to play with her. But I mean, Peridot should be there too, since she lives in the bathroom and all. I'm kinda surprised all the yelling, crying, and sudden temperature shifts haven't gotten her to come out and see what's going on. But yeah, Sapphire attempts to use her future vision to see if Ruby will come back. But Ruby is too spontaneous to exactly pinpoint. Ruby has altered the track of fate before, so it's reasonable to think that she could again. But I don't know, it more so feels like Sapphire is just really emotional right now, and that's why she can't really focus on her future vision. She's kind of just living in the present and feeling these emotions, which does take her away from the whole future prospect. She's seeing what's in front of her right now. And with that, comforting does not look to be Pearl's strong suit, because when thinking about a future without Garnet, she breaks down crying as well. And then again, I can't blame her. It would just feel like a void in the team without Garnet. But side note, where is Cat Steven? But seeing Sapphire and Pearl have an emotional breakdown, Steven decides to go out and find Ruby, and Amethyst goes along with him. Now, this entire sequence, Amethyst is messing around and making light of the situation where Steven is maintaining a leadership role. It was pretty neat seeing Amethyst size down to her smallest possible size, something super impractical for any sort of combat or dangerous situation, considering her gem is so exposed. But yeah, it was really just nice. From there, they scour Beach City in hopes of finding Ruby, putting up flyers and such. And I already know, the Legion of Onion Foreseers will want to make note of him emerging from the bushes. Guys, how old is Onion anyways? Does he go to school? And if he's too young for school, where is the parental supervision? What an odd fellow. When we get to the pizza place, Steven doubts that Ruby would be there, but mentions that it's where he would go to feel better, which spurs Amethyst to suggest sitting down and eating there. But, the pizza they got here is actually really gross, like with all the toppings on it, and it's just gross because I can picture it in real life, like, ugh. But while they're eating, Amethyst starts bringing up Pink Diamond stuff, trying to get a reaction out of Steven, and he is bothered by the revelation a bit. He recognizes that it's a bit messed up, but at the same time, it's such a rose quartz thing to do. Just that the extent to which she took all of this was really far. He's relieved she never shattered anyone, which I get in terms of morality and such, but I'm curious about you guys. With the context of a war against gems where countless gems were shattered, would you fault or look down upon any gem veterans because they shattered for survival? Like, Jasper shattering gems is kinda implied, and I guess the same goes for the other diamonds, so what do you think of them in that regard? And is sending countless gems to their demise under false pretenses better than shattering? I'm really just trying to gauge the moral compass here because, I mean, it's all bad. All that stuff is terrible stuff. But you gotta come at it with a bit of reality. Like, this is a war. People, gems are going to perish. Anyways, Amethyst questions if Steven is mad, which he partially is, but he's more so confused than anything else and decides to prioritize Garnet, which upsets Amethyst. At the end of the day, Steven is a kid. He shouldn't be stretched this thin to keep the team together along this moral high ground, especially when the role model for the Crystal Gems in reality wasn't that, at least not entirely. And Amethyst feels especially close to Steven because he wasn't involved in the war just like her. And it's obvious that she's hurting. I mean, she's always been at a distance due to the time of her emergence, but now it's been taken to the next level. But after eavesdropping, they know where Ruby is, and Amethyst uses this as an opportunity to avoid talking about how bothered she really is. She shapeshifts into a helicopter, and Steven utilizes his floating powers again. I'm pointing that part out because I really want Steven to master a power already. He has tons of great abilities, but only a few are completely mastered. We need some mastery. But after bothering Amethyst until she explains her feelings, which hey, by the way, isn't the way to get people to open up, kids, she essentially tells him that the past is the past. None of them are at fault or responsible for the actions of Rose Quartz, Pink Diamond, or whatever, only themselves, and the future that they pave from here on out. And I absolutely moments like this just make me remember how much I love this character and her development. Amethyst is by far the most developed character in the series, and I suppose you could argue Steven, but let's not count the main character privilege there. I mean, Amethyst has come so far, and it makes me so happy to see her like this. Steven even recognizes her to be the most mature crystal gem, which is wild. Do you agree with that statement? Because it's pretty subjective, but at this particular point in time, I think I have to agree. I really like this episode. Like, on Twitter, I was saying that Amethyst is truly the crowning achievement of this series. Like, her development is absurdly amazing. I don't know, I just really like it, and I love her character so much. I will say that although I love this episode so much, it's episodes like these that keep Steven Universe from being aired on television regularly. Like, I mean, there's already the whole Cartoon Network scheduling thing where they don't really care about television all that much anymore. But even if they did, I feel like this would be hard to air simply because it's such an in-between episode. It's one of those things that just doesn't stand alone by itself all that well, because without context of the Pink Diamond revelation, without context of the Ruby and Sapphire fallout, this episode is just like, hey, what's going on to the regular viewer? You're just casual person who's getting into Steven Universe or potentially getting into Steven Universe. It feels like you're missing a lot. You don't know what's going on with things like this. And so I completely get why the network handles Steven Universe like this to a degree. But at the same time, episodes like this are so important to the development of characters and how we interpret them. And so this kind of just really excites me for this new generation where it's more so like streaming based, where these cartoons are going to be on the Cartoon Network app, PlayStation View, and wherever else Cartoon Network decides to place them, because I mean, they are in this transition period where we're getting these new cartoons and such. And I don't want to miss out on this kind of content. This is the good stuff, like where you have these in-between moments where you can reevaluate, reassess with the characters. Like, a lot of these moments it feels like the characters are speaking for the fans, like saying, oh, that's so cute, that's adorable, or just getting their feelings across, saying, oh, this is kind of confusing. It feels as though they're right there with us, and with episodes being like 11 or 12 minutes, you can't really get this on television in the old format. This is a progressive and ever-changing development. And I truly could not imagine Steven Universe without moments or episodes like this. This is where the Crewniverse truly shines. Like, I will pick apart certain things about like the canon or the timeline and certain things that they do there, because, you know, I nitpick. Of course I nitpick. This is what I do. Like, I have to be accurate and like look at the little details. That's the joy of the content. That's what makes this fun. But Steven Universe never falters when it comes to this kind of stuff, for the most part. Like, when it comes to the emotions and the reactions of the characters and just being real, I suppose, feeling like actual people that we can truly relate to, they don't falter. And that's what makes us clamor to this show. Like, that's what gets so many people onto the show, because of representation and things of the sort. With how crazy things can get between revelations and occurrences, I like this sort of downtime. I like when we actively talk and reflect, because when we don't do that, it feels so off because these characters feel so real in terms of how they handle situations. When you don't talk about these crazy events after the fact, it's just like, what's going on? This feels weird. Like the whole Ruby situation when they were just out in space, and I was just like, why are we not talking about this? Why are they not being brought up? It just feels off. And so I love moments like this, and I hope that this is a trend for the future. This is what we do whenever crazy stuff happens, because crazy stuff, like if we're getting Pink Diamond revelations now and the series is still going on, then we have a lot more to reflect on in the future. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I've rambled on long enough. I just really like this episode and the sort of episode that this is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well, and let me know how proud of Amethyst you are in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and have an awesome day. I love you.